Welcome to Nickel City Mafia, where we talk all things Buffalo and then some. Jake, it's been a while for us, man. I think people are wondering where the heck we went. We haven't been on a show since May 29th. Over 6 weeks ago was the last time we showed our faces together. I know you and Ian have done the Pigskin Poets, which is really, really cool. If you haven't caught that, be sure to check it out. But yeah, for you and I, 6 weeks, I don't think we've ever, in the last 4 years, have ever gone more than a few weeks without a show. So good to see you. Good to be on a show with you again, and especially such a good show that we have lined up here tonight. How you doing, my friend?
I'm great, Mike. Likewise, it's been too long, honestly. And, of course, we keep in touch and whatnot, but
Yeah.
nothing beats this, the face-to-face, the debates, the talking nonstop football, always saying, hey, we're going to cut it at an hour, but we end up going 3 hours. This is going to be a great one. I'm really excited for it. It's going to be a tough argument for some of these position groups. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. By the way, I've noticed that you're starting to wear your Bills gear and this pirate hat. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Why are you so embedded with this pirate team all of a sudden?
Well, it's baseball season. And, honestly, what happened was my good friend Matt decided this is a year that he started following baseball all of a sudden. And he's like, hey, we got to all pick a team to really lock in with. And I'm like, I've always been a big Pirates fan. They're my team. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to really go all in. So I have not missed a game this year, which is crazy. And it's miserable. I got to say it's honestly, Mike, it's very similar like watching the Buffalo Sabres play
Mm.
hockey. Just went on a big 6-game winning streak, the Pirates, and then they lost 6 in a row. They did win today though, 2-1. We'll take it. Right before the All-Star break. So, baseball season is in full swing, but football season is right around the corner. So had
Yeah.
to rep both.
I will say this: the Pirates have always had one of the coolest uniforms, jerseys, in my opinion. So
The
I'm not upset.
stadium too. Oh,
I'm not upset with your pick at all.
I love
Although
it.
I'm a Yankee guy. So in any case, this show, we typically do in the off season something we call gridiron battles. And typically we match up the Buffalo Bills against some of the upcoming opponents for the current year. So for instance, typically we would do a Chiefs versus Bills. We'd have a Chiefs representative on there. We might do a Ravens. We might do a Dolphins. And we go position group by position group, and we use the boxing 10-point scoring system. It could be a 10-10 round, which is very frowned upon. Gonna be tough, Jake. We might have some 10-10s because we don't have a tiebreaker. I can't
Yeah.
go to PFF for the 1990 Bills. By the way,
Right.
I kind of spoiled it right there. But so anyhow, we'll do you can have a 10-10 round, you can have a 10-9 round, of course, if you win the round. 10-8 would mean there's a knockdown. And then last year we introduced the 10-7. That is if a position group is just so much better than another team's position group, you could have a knockdown or knockout. Doesn't mean the fight is over. It just means you just had a 10-7 round, which could really catch you up if you were behind in the fight. But Jake, we got a special one tonight. I want you to imagine if the 1990 Bills were put into a time machine and sent to year 2024 to play the Buffalo Bills of last year. How would they do? Would they win? And I'm going to come out swinging right now before we get into it. And people are going to think I'm crazy because everyone says, man, the players these days are so much bigger, so much stronger, faster, more athletic. I'm going to try to put a little pause on that with this 1990 team of the Buffalo Bills put on the field. And I think they could compete in this game and not only compete, remember, it's a one game, winner take all, one game. I think not only could they compete, but they could win that. And we're going to talk about why I think that is. And you're going to say, Mike, you're smoking something crazy. I don't know. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And if anything, it's going to be a great history lesson for those that really don't know a lot about that 1990 Bills team. That was the first team to go to the Super Bowl. And I think it was our best team. Obviously, it was our best chance. We lost by 1 point to the Giants. And I say this, and I'll take this to my grave. The Buffalo Bills were the best team in the NFL, period, in 1990. The Super Bowl was in 1991 against the Giants. They were the best team. It was the Giants and the Niners in the NFC Championship. who was going to play the Bills. The Bills blew out the Raiders 51-3. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I actually wanted the Giants to win. I'm like, man, Joe Montana scares me with that team, right? Could have saw Joe Montana, and I'm like, he scares me. They can put up points. I'm like, man, we destroy the Giants. We had played the Giants earlier in the season. We had played them and beat them. The problem was they used that to their advantage. They had film on us now, Jake, and none other than Bill Belichick put together this amazing game plan. Amazing game plan to shut down the high-powered K-gun. And, I'm going to say this right now. I believe we were outcoached in that Super Bowl. The Bills stuck. They stayed with that K-gun too long. The Giants' defense was giving up the run. Belichick said, let Thurman eat. We're going to shut down those receivers, and we're going to just hit the heck out of them going over the middle. By the end of the game, they'll be so scared to go over the middle. That's kind of what happened, Jake. But anyhow, imagine the Buffalo Bills in 1990. They've been transported to 2024, and they're going to take on the 2024 Buffalo Bills. Before we get into it, Jake, anything you want to mention?
Yeah, this is man, you look at some of the players and some of the names on this 90s team. It's going to be a good one, Mike. You're going to be bringing some heat, so I better be ready with some good talking points because listen, this 2024 Bills team set some records, but you got a team that consisted of some Hall of Famers, and we didn't know they were Hall of Famers back in that day, but they were well on their way. So I'm excited for this. Let's get it started.
All right. Well, remember, we didn't know they were Hall of Famers. We're going to try to keep that out of the conversation because in 1990, I don't think you could say that any of these players were Hall of Famers quite yet. I mean, they went to 4 Super Bowls, and that's where some of them locked in their Hall of Fame credentials. But let's start with the defensive line. We'll start with the defense, and we have a 12-rounder, by the way, Jake. I want to let you know, 12-rounder. I'm saving the last round because I think if I need a little help, I might be able to get a knockdown round. So the last round, I'm kind of, I'm holding it up my sleeve. We'll see how things pan out here. But let me start this thing. All right. So defensive line, obviously in 1990, the Bills had Bruce Smith. He had 19 sacks during the season. One of the greatest defensive ends to ever play this game. And obviously in 1990, he was peak Bruce Smith. Just killing it. Not only was a great pass rusher, he could defend the run extremely well. Extremely well. I mean, if you were playing fantasy football and you were in a league that tracked tackles, Bruce Smith was your guy because not only were you going to get sacks, you were going to get a lot of tackles out of this man. He weighed in at about 265, 266, according to Pro Football Reference, but I had seen him at around 275 or 278, maybe at his peak weight. But right there, I think going against the Bills O-line, who, by the way, is extremely large, and we'll talk about them later, but I think he could wreak some havoc with his speed and his ability to help shut down the run. And I think the Bills would probably scheme to stay away from him. They scheme
100%.
to stay away from him, scheme to get some help to protect for Josh Allen. Because I think Bruce Smith would give Spencer Brown a day he never forgot. So Spencer Brown would definitely need some assistance. Deion Dawkins, I think, would do a better job for sure. Spencer Brown, I think, would be where that opportunity would be for Bruce. Now in the middle, dude, Jeff Wright.
Underrated.
Now you're going to laugh about this one. Jeff Wright weighed in at about 273.
Mm-hmm.
273. We had another guy, Mike Lodish, who was a defensive end. I could probably put him on the defensive tackle if I needed him. He was also 273. And then we had another gentleman, I forget who his name was, but we had another nose tackle behind Wright who was less, I mean, he weighed like 265. Jake, can you imagine nose tackles weighing that much? You better be
crazy.
You better be pretty darn quick. I know Ed Oliver, he's defensive tackle, he weighs in at about 289. But for a nose tackle, you're typically looking for a guy at least 300. I mean, the lightest, maybe 300. And then we had big Leon Seals. Leon Seals was a big guy, also 260 something there in 1990. And I just believe when I think about our offensive line for the 2024 Bills, I'd only be concerned about stopping the run with these three guys. I might put in, like I said, a Mike Lotish, maybe stack it a little bit. I don't have much to bring in as far as weight goes on that front line, but I would depend on my linebackers, which we're going to get into. Um, I don't know, and I think it's the next slide actually. But so I think, again, taking away the accolades, which is Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith, not a single player on that Bills defensive line can hold a candle. And I think Bruce Smith would be a terror if you took him in 1990 and transported him to 2024. He would kill it. I think he would do just as well as he did back in 1990. Jake, I don't know what your thoughts are, but talk to me, my friend.
100% agree. I mean, the guy played in 2003 and still put up, I think, like 9 or 10 sacks in one of his final years in the NFL. So, yeah, there's no doubt about it. He would translate extremely well to today's game. The fact that he played 3-4 defensive end, registered over 100 tackles and 19 sacks, wins AP Defensive Player of the Year, is in the running for MVP, Mike. And this is multiple years, too. This isn't just 1 year, but the 90 season really was like, oh, man, this guy he's a dog. And, you talk about not really knowing who was going to be a Hall of Famer at this time, but you could pretty much say that Bruce Smith was probably going to be a Hall of Famer at this point, just because of the consistency and just the overall production. The guy was just insane. He's just on another level. There's a reason why he has 200 career sacks, and that's why no one's going to ever touch it, because he was just that good. The closest guy to get there or almost there was Reggie White, and he was in a league of his own as well. Yeah. And they're like 1A, 1B, the both of them. So, yeah, I mean, no one's holding the candle to Bruce Smith here. And again, he translates extremely well to today's game. You typically look at these 3-4 ends in today's game. They're not really pass rushers. Those guys are there to, seal the edge and really stop the run, not allow for anything to really get outside and to make tackles and to do their thing and to do kind of like the dirty work. You have these stand-up outside linebackers now that are more of your pass rushers. So it's a little bit of a different game. But the fact that Bruce could probably still play in today's game as a 4-3 D end, or probably still could play the 3-4 D end, it is just incredible. And the guy is an absolute stud. There's no doubt about it. The best ever.
Yeah, Jake, by the way, I want to say there's not many people that weren't born 10 years before 1990 that I would say are qualified to have this conversation with me. You weren't even born in 1990, but nope. You, my friend, are the only one I think would be qualified to have such a conversation because of your deep knowledge of this Bills team. I mean, you've gone back, watched film, read books, research on the internet. I mean, you know all about this team. I think it was the 80s and 90s. Whenever I hit you up with trivia, I think the 90s, I think, is where you struggled the most. But even then, you still.
No, it was the 80s. For whatever reason, it's the 80s that always gets me. I don't know why.
All right. Yeah. So, but again, incredible that you have this history and you understand what this team did back in 1990. Now, Jeff Wright in today's game, like if he's in 2024, he's probably better at a defensive end. Yeah. I mean, the guy was quick, Jake, and even as a nose tackle, he had a decent number of sacks. I mean, nose tackles, you're not expecting to get much, right? But he'd get 4, 6. I mean, he was consistently getting those type of numbers in a season, and just a quick dude off the line and disrupting in the backfield. And that's all I would really need from him against this Buffalo Bills team. So I'd be a little concerned with him at the nose because you're going up against Connor McGovern. You got Osiris Torrance to the right of him, and you got big dude David Edwards on the left. But I think if he was going to work his magic, he'd be working to the side of David Edwards, because I think David Edwards, to me, is, I mean, even though he had a really good year last year, I think he's the guy we're going to attack with that. I think Leon Seals could hold up his own as well. Again, in the 260s, look at the man. There's nothing about that man that you're like, there's no way he could not play in 2024. No, this dude could play. Big guy. But like I said, I didn't have much weight. I didn't have much weight against that D-line. So I'd be worried about your run game, but I believe I can help out with my linebacking core. So I don't know. Talk to me about your team, your 2024 team, Jake.
Yeah, I'm going to open up a beer right now, Mike, because this is really hard to argue. By the way, shout out to Labatt. We got this great stuff behind me here. We have a Lipton hard tea sign, and we got ourselves a cooler back here. Yeah, it's I'll tell you what, Mike. When you look at the pedigree here in Bruce Smith, and then you have two really solid players in Jeff Wright and Leon Seals. Honestly, Jeff Wright is super underrated. I feel like he really didn't get enough credit for what he did. I mean, this is a guy that registered multiple 70-plus tackle seasons, did the dirty work on the inside. And yeah, while back in the day, the nose tackle position was more of like your wrestler that can get low and basically out leverage the other player, the opposing player. In today's game, he's probably playing defensive end, like you said, but he was special during that time, and I don't think he ever really got enough credit for the stuff that he did. And it's funny because, our nose tackle right now is Daquan Jones, a little bit different body type. This guy's like 320 plus, whereas Jeff Wright's, 274 or whatever it is. So kind of crazy when you look at the two of them. I will say Jeff Wright is definitely much smaller, but his production is that much better. So I think when you look at those two, I'm going to start with the nose tackle position here, Mike. I think he is a better nose than what Daquan Jones is in today's NFL. So, yeah, I would give the nod to him there. Obviously, at the defensive end position, neither Greg Rousseau or AJ Epinesa can hold a candle to Bruce Smith, so they automatically win that battle, or he wins that battle. Now, Eddie Oliver, Pro Bowl defensive tackle, I would say top 5 defensive tackle coming into the 2024 season. Kind of had a disappointing year last year. Nothing to really write home about. There were some great moments, and there were some moments where it's like, I don't know about this, Still a tremendous player here, and definitely our best defensive lineman, in my opinion. But it's just really hard when you have a defensive line that has a Hall of Famer on it. And yes, I could say at the time he was definitely a Hall of Famer in Bruce Smith. So, unfortunately, I hate to concede early here, Mike, but it is really hard to argue that the 90s Bills doesn't have a better defensive line than the 2024 Buffalo Bills.
Now, remember, Jake, too, I want you to keep this in mind, okay? We're playing in 2024. It is the rules, the current rules and regulations of the NFL as of 2024. So keep that in mind. And while I appreciate you conceding early to me on this one, I thought for sure you're going to give me a much tougher battle. And again, I want you, Seals wasn't a Hall of Famer, Wright, but Wright was, like I said, pretty damn good as far as getting sacks really as a light nose tackle. Very quick. And like you said, Epinesa, we keep waiting for him, but he shows flashes. Daquan Jones, I think he had a little bit of a down year last year as well.
Yeah,
he's a big 320 dude. So when we get to the O-lines later in the show, my one concern with our O-line, which will be Jim Richard at 273 going against Daquan Jones, but we're going to talk about that later. Ed Oliver, like I said, he's your stud. He's your best defensive lineman. And Rousseau, another guy who I love Rousseau. I still think that, we keep saying every year, 10 plus sacks. Just not happening. He's very good against the run, but that go-to guy, that stopper, when you need it most, none of them have been there. I don't believe. So I think just because of that, of course, they have to agree with you. Buffalo takes the round 10-9.
Yeah, you're going 10-9 on that one. I think that's probably fair. And here's the thing, too, Mike. You even throw Von Miller into this instead of AJ Epinesa. I still think you guys are winning this battle. What Von Miller did last year, his pressure rate was great, but at this point in his career, he is a rotational pass rush specialist, and he's no more than that, so it's really hard to and he's a Hall of Famer himself, and we know this at this point, but I just it's really hard to argue that this 90s team isn't better than the 2024 team as far as defensive lines go.
Love it. And remember, for those that don't know much about the 90s team, Bruce Smith is the all-time sack leader in the NFL and was brilliant. Go watch some film on this man. He was, what a game changer. All right. Let's finish that round. And let's move on to round number 2. Oh, baby. The linebackers. So, Jake, I learned some things. When I was doing this research. because, I'm thinking old school linebackers. For some reason, I had in my mind that they're all like 6'4", 250, 250 and above. But that wasn't the case. That really wasn't the case. And I'm going to let you start by talking about your linebackers. I'll give you some thoughts. I'm representing the 1990 team. I was alive. I was in my early 20s when I saw this team with those 4 heartbreaking Super Bowl losses. Love this team. Love the Bills in general. But I'll be talking about them. And of course, Jake, as you know, he'll be chiming in as well because of his knowledge of history. So, Jake, here's your 2 guys. You got Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard. I think Bernard on a good day is what they got him at 6'1",
226,
226, 6. Is he 6'1" or 6'0" even? I don't know. You've seen him in person. Now, he doesn't look like a big dude, but his first year he was fantastic. Then you got Matt Milano. Of course, we all love Matt Milano. Also not the biggest dude, but look at him. He's a specimen. So anyhow, talk about your 2024 linebackers.
Yeah, here's the thing, Mike. So you talk about how it would translate to today's NFL. So we have 2 really, really athletic linebackers in Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano. These guys just seem to make plays. They fly to the ball. They're always in the right place at the right time. And they're impact players in the modern NFL. We play a base nickel defense, whereas this 90s team, while you have some absolute studs here and guys that I think would translate more as like edge players such as Cornelius Bennett, I think he could definitely play in today's NFL. It would actually be to his benefit because most teams are kind of running that scheme where they're either a base nickel or they're running a 3-4 where you have 2 edge guys on the end there. So, I think it is a great linebacking unit that the Bills have here in 1990, but I like our guys right now just because they're fast, they're athletic, they're a little bit smaller, but you're talking about the 2024 game, and I think their skill set obviously is modernized and it translates to the NFL for what it is today. It's a pass-happy league, whereas back in the day, you try to take Terrell Bernard and Matt Milano and try to play them at linebacker back in 1990, they're probably moving to safety because they're undersized, But I think you look at this 90s team here, and, Daryl Taylor, Ray Bentley, Shane Conlon, like Shane Conlon would translate, I think, too, as like he could probably rush the passer and do his thing there. But I feel like their liability is overall athleticism and probably coverage skills. So that's where they lack a little bit. And that's why I'm going to argue that the 2024 team is better built for the modern day NFL, which makes sense, obviously.
I have to bite my lip a little bit.
And they're all studs. Don't get me wrong. They're incredible.
Let me just say this. So, obviously my misconception was that every linebacker back in the 90s was 6'4" and above, 250 and above, not very athletic, big linebackers. I always say that. I always want us to draft. Cornelius Bennett was 6'2", 237. It's not much heavier than our 2 guys. Shane Conlon, 6'3", 235. Ray Bentley, 6'2", 240. He was the biggest of our linebackers. And I probably wouldn't start him in this game against the Bills, by the way. I'd probably go 3 linebackers, and I'd probably bring in a nickel slot corner. And then we got Daryl Talley. Of course, Daryl Talley, 6'4", 235. So weight-wise, they're not much more than our guys. I'm maybe 10 pounds on average between the 2, maybe a little bit more. And I will tell you what, Cornelius Bennett ran a 4.45 40. Now you could argue, Jake, that they didn't have the technology to really record it, but let me just tell you, he's around that speed. He's faster than any of the 2 linebackers that you are putting on the field. He was incredible. By the way, a little story about Cornelius Bennett. He was the second pick overall of the 1987 draft by the Indianapolis Colts. He couldn't come to a contract agreement with them. Check out this crazy 3-way trade.
Incredible trade.
The Colts sent Bennett and some draft picks to the Bills for running back Greg Bell. I love Greg Bell. He was a good guy. Yeah. And they got some draft picks. The Rams were part of this trade where they traded Eric Dickerson to the Colts. Eric Dickerson. Now, I still don't totally understand why he was added to the mix. He is. I don't have all the details of what they gave up to get Dickerson, because we know they gave us Bennett. They gave us some draft picks. We gave them Greg Bell and some draft picks. as well. Probably later round draft picks for sure. Remember, back then, Jake, was there like 11 rounds in the NFL back then? It was like 11 or
12 rounds.
12 rounds. Insane. And some of these guys, when we get further on, were drafted in the 11th or 12th round, and they became all-stars. So Cornelius Bennett, better than your two linebackers. Absolutely. And he can cover if he wanted to. He wasn't just the guy you put on the line and rush. But in this game against the Bills, I'm probably going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to probably put him on the outside. Now, I don't have a lot of passing statistics, coverage statistics for the Bills from back in the day. But Colin was underrated as well as a coverage guy. He could cover as well. Of course, I'm going to need him to stop the run with your big offensive line this game. Going to need him for sure. Bentley's probably the guy I'm sitting in this game because, like I said, I'm going to go with three. I'm going to go with the two linebackers and the nickel slot. And then, of course, Daryl Talley. Daryl Talley was just, don't have a 40 time. I've tried to find it. Can't find it at all. But I do know on the field, made so many big plays for this Bills defense. And I think he could, I think he was pretty darn good in coverage as well. So you're throwing
He did
at
have
me,
a 5 interception season, Mike.
Yeah,
So there is
yeah.
that. That's true.
Yeah, exactly. So you're throwing at me that these two guys are better for today's game. But I also think it hurts the Bills in some cases. I mean, they were pretty decent against the run last year, but we've always complained that the run stopping ability gets hurt because we run the nickel. And I mean, Terrell Bernard, I mean, look at him. On a good day, maybe he hits 230, 230. I don't know. He looks like he's like 210 pounds, but you've seen him. So I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to concede on the linebackers here. And even in today's game, and again, I'm going to take out the fact that, Cornelius Bennett is just amazing. And I don't want to be saying, 1990. People are going to be like, Mike, you're being too biased. Too biased. It's a tough one. At the very least, I could say is a 10-10 round. I could say it's a 10-10 round, and we don't have any tiebreaker. And Jake, you haven't really convinced me enough that these guys, like I'm saying, Bennett and Talley, and maybe even Colin, could do. Did you notice the number that Colin had in Milano War? 58, baby.
I know it, right? Yeah.
You haven't convinced me a whole lot. I'm trying to think here. Oh, man, this is going to be interesting. I also want you, I'm going to give you the slight edge here, Jake, and only because of the rule changes. The linebackers in 1990, even though the illegal contact downfield was introduced in 1978, it really wasn't enforced until 2004. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be my argument in some of these other spots, especially when we get to the offense. So because of the rule changes that these guys would have to face in 2024, all right, I'll give you the 10-9. But I'm telling you,
I had a fighting claw for that
one. I want to hear in the comments what you guys' thoughts are. Again, I'm trying not to be that guy who says the Bills.
I do have to be real though, Mike. If you're just looking at namesake and just overall player, I think the 90s linebacking unit is 10 times better. I mean, Shane Conlon was defensive rookie of the year. He was a 3 or 4-time Pro Bowler. Derek Taylor, 2-time Pro Bowler. Ray Bentley was a really solid player. Cornelius Bennett was insane. And actually, like I said, he would translate great to today's game. He could play in any era, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking at just the namesake and the players for who they were, the 90s team totally sweeps the 2024 team right now. Absolutely.
This one, I'll tell you what, if I see a lot of comments coming in saying the linebackers, we might have to change that scorecard. But here we go.
That's fair.
Let's end this round here. And let's move on to the next round. Round 3, where we go to the cornerbacks. All right. So we don't have a lot of tackle stats from Odoms and Kirby Jackson. And this one's going to be a hard one for me to argue, because what do I always say, Jake? I say, how big do I want our cornerbacks to be?
At least 6 foot and at least 200 pounds. And yikes. I don't know if those
Yikes.
guys
Kirby
quite get
Jackson,
there.
5'10". Nate Odoms, 5'9". Kirby Jackson, 179 pounds wet, and Nate Odoms, 188 pounds wet.
Yeah.
While they were good, Kirby Jackson had 3 interceptions in 1990. Did we have any corners last year get 3 interceptions? I don't know. I don't think so. Nate Odoms had 1 interception, 3 fumble recoveries. Last year, the Bills were very opportunistic with the turnover differential. That's why they were able to survive in a few games. But I love both those guys, but I can't. I mean, I don't even have to waste a lot of time here. I'm going to concede this one to the Buffalo Bills because of the size. Rasul Douglas over 6 foot, Christian Benford over 6 foot. Speed wise, I don't have a lot of solid numbers for 40 times in that, but just because of the size alone, like 5'9". But these guys, again, they were, everything up front makes you better in the back, and they definitely benefited from that. I remember, I was watching some film recently, and man, this Bills defense always gave Dan Marino fits. I mean, these guys picked off Dan Marino multiple times in one game. It's hard to say. It's not really that hard for me, but I guess, they were good in their time, but I do not think they would translate well to 2024, and I think you guys got the edge. Now, am I giving you a knockdown? Oh, no, I'm not. Giving you a 10-9 win on this one.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Let me just say this. Russell Douglas did not have a good year last year. That's why he's out the door. I don't even know. Has he signed for anybody yet?
No, he's still a free agent.
Right. So Christian Benford had a really good year. He's injury prone, never seems to be able to stay on the field all year round, but he got extended contract. Bills like what they see. We like what we see with him. It's crazy that he was he a 6th or 7th rounder a few years back?
Yeah, 6th rounder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And Taron Johnson, of course, one of the best slot corners in the game. But a small guy. He's not very big, right? What's Taron Johnson? 5'11", I think he is. 5'11", 190-ish?
I think he's 192-ish around there, something like that. Yeah.
So little story here. If I was to play a nickel slot corner, it would have to be James. They call him J.D. Williams. He was a rookie, a rookie first-round pick for the Buffalo Bills. He ran like a 4.29. Jake, 4.29. He was 5'10", 190. Very quick dude. Very similar to Kyer Elam. Never really panned out. Couldn't cover very well, but he was a playmaker, just like Kyer. If you look at the guy's interceptions, he had interceptions, so he made the most of his time. He just was giving up too many plays, and so he would have to be my slot corner. But Taron Johnson's definitely better than him. I put Christian Benford over both Kirby and Nate. And Russell Douglas, I'm not so sure. I do like how Russell Douglas did pretty well against the run game. But if you look at his PFF score, it's ridiculously low. So give you the 10-9 round, Jake. I don't know if you want to argue against that.
I don't want to argue, but I do want to put respect on Nate Odom's name. I mean, he was a pretty damn good corner. He was, I think, one of the more underrated corners in the NFL during the 90s, early 90s, I should say. I think he had a 9 interception year, Mike, if I'm correct. And that may have been his last year as a Buffalo Bill, because then he got hurt or something, right? But yeah, he was a Pro Bowl corner himself, and he was a really good player. But to me, I think you look at what we have right now: Taron Johnson, a top 3 nickel corner in football as we speak. Christian Benford, arguably an All-Pro season last year. Obviously, the injury concerns are there, but he is an All-Pro corner. And I don't think you could say the same about Odoms or Jackson at this time in 1990. So, and I get it. Rasul Douglas, not the best season last year, but even so, I think you look at size and what he did in run support. And I would take this cornerback unit over them. So, yeah. While I like Jackson and Odoms, I think they're both solid players. And Odoms was a Pro Bowler, good, really good player. I like ours in 2024 a little bit better.
Yeah, so Odoms, going back to what you said, he was a Pro Bowler in 92 and 93. And yes, he had 9 interceptions in 1993. He did not play in 94 due to injury. His final year was with Atlanta, where he started in 4 games, and that was kind of the end of it. So I don't know. Oh, it was a knee injury. So that kind of did him in. But yeah, to have 9 interceptions, I mean, and then 5 the year before in 92, 5 in 91. His lowest, funny enough, was in, well, obviously his rookie year, he had 0. But he had only 1 interception in 88 and 1 interception in 90. Otherwise, playmaker. But yeah, can't argue with this, Jake. I knew I was in trouble because I always harp on you. I'm like, I want these big cornerbacks. How could I argue? How can I argue against the 2024 Bills?
Well, you got to think too. The receivers have also gotten a little bit bigger too. Although I feel like now it's sort of trending backwards again, where you're looking at some of these smaller guys making more of an impact on the game again. So the cornerbacks back then didn't have to be as big necessarily either. So
yeah, and
it's
the
all
other reason,
relevant based on the time.
the other reason I'm giving you, I mentioned it earlier, I'm giving you this here is because your corners are very restricted on what they can do. They're enforcing that illegal contact past 5 yards. Nate Odoms and Kirby Jackson, they had a little more freedom back there, right?
That's a good point.
They weren't enforced. So I'm giving you that. Of course, some people might say, well, if you transported them to 1990 or to 2024 and they know the rules, they're not going to do it. But that's one reason. And then, of course, the size. So there we go. All of a sudden, the Buffalo Bills have taken the last 2 rounds. And again, I'm still stuck in at linebacker. I may have been too soft in that one. I'm going to be kicking myself potentially. Here we go. Let's go to round number 4. This is the final round for the defense. So let's move on here. Safeties. We've got Leonard Smith, big hitter Leonard Smith, and Mark Kelso. And this is where I'm going to, I mean, look, if you guys had some all-stars on safety, and I say you guys, this is my team. The 2024 team is my team, but I'm talking like I'm the 1990 team, the owner, the general manager, all that good stuff. Look, Damar Hamlin has been just proving himself. He started for us. Everyone always says, when are we going to move on from Damar Hamlin? He keeps earning his spot. Would I rather have Leonard Smith in 2024? Absolutely. Big hitter. And then Mark Kelso, Kazoo, if you remember. I think it was Kazoo or Kazoo. So if you remember, check that out, Jake. I think it was Kazoo. In the Flintstones cartoon, there was a Martian that came down, and there was a Kazoo. And they started calling him that because he started wearing what was called a pro cap. You might be able to see it in that picture there. And what a pro cap was an extension to the helmet. He had 4 concussions from 1988 to 1989. So in 2 years, 4 concussions. Back then, Jake, they didn't have the concussion protocol. These guys were playing with like a week after they were playing. And so his trainer had some concern, and he suggested the pro cap. Now, Steve Wallace, who was a tackle for the 49ers, also wore this pro cap. So again, you can see it, but when you put it on there, it makes his head look large, and that's why he got the nickname Kazoo. If you've ever seen Kazoo, I should have had an image of Kazoo from the Flintstones. When they brought him on there, man, the Flintstones were like the thing to watch. The dude was so funny. But anyhow, Mark Kelso, dude, a nose for the ball. A nose for the ball. Let's see here. 1987, he had 7 interceptions, 6 interceptions in 88, 2 interceptions in 1990 and 1991, 7 interceptions in 92. Played entire career with the Bills. Even though he was drafted in the 10th round by the 1985, he's in 10th round by the Eagles in 1985. Must not have made the cut, and the Bills signed him, and he played for the Buffalo Bills. So Mark Kelso, dude, I mean, if you go watch the film on him, he's not like, it's not the flashiest guy, but when you're smart and you just have a nose for the ball like he did, and by the way, he didn't play the whole year in 1990. He was injured, broke his leg, but he made it back for the playoffs and was the starter in the playoffs. Missed quite a few games during the regular season, and so came back, played in the playoffs. And then you got Damar Hamlin and Taylor Rapp, and I'm taking my guys over both of these guys. I really am. I don't see Taylor. You can't argue that Taylor Rapp and Damar Hamlin are. People are going to be mad at me. I don't I'm not going to say
I
they're
mean,
not anything special, but they're not.
yeah, this
Damar
is
Hamlin
not.
is. Look, Damar Hamlin is special. I will always give respect to Damar Hamlin. Taylor Rapp, another dude who just gets hurt all the time. He does make plays every now and then. He's kind of like a big hitter, kind of like Leonard Smith was. But I'll take my guys. I don't know. I don't know if you want to battle me on this one or what's your thoughts, but please
I
share.
don't even want to touch this one, Mike. Yeah, I mean, I'll give credit where credit's due here. Leonard Smith, just an absolute punisher. Guy just, yeah, different era for sure, but he would take your freaking head off, and he'd probably still do it in today's game and get a lot of personal fouls, most likely. But yeah, really good player. And then, yeah, Mark Kelso. I mean, the fact that he never got a Pro Bowl nod is really surprising to me, considering he had like 3 or 4 seasons where he had 6 or more interceptions. The guy was a ball hawk. He was always in the right place at the right time, very high IQ, and, just a really good safety, honestly, and a guy that I don't know if he's on the Bills. I think he's on the Bills Wall of Fame. He should be in the Bills Wall of Fame at the very least, because he was a really, really excellent safety, honestly. So, yeah, no, you guys take this one by a landslide. Do we go knockout here? That's the question.
I can't go knockout. I can't go
Okay.
knockout. Knockdown?
Because it's not
Knockdown, maybe? 10-8?
maybe a knockdown. Yeah,
I mean, but not a knockout.
maybe a
Knockout
knockdown.
is a special category. 10-7.
I agree. Yeah, you're right.
All right, we'll go
Maybe a knockdown, though, Mike.
So with a couple big jabs by the Bills, they find themselves on top, at least on our scorecard that's being kept by a third party right now. We don't know we don't know what the true judges are scoring here behind the scenes, but our analyst behind the scenes is keeping the
I love it.
scorecard. And right now, the Bills have taken, according to his scorecard, they've taken a slight lead with the knockdown. And again, those that are watching this show on the rewatch, I want to hear every position group we're talking about. I want to hear your thoughts. Where did we get it wrong? Where did we get it right? Am I just on something crazy because I'm being too biased towards the 1990 Bills? And I'm not trying to be negative here, Jake, against the 2024 Bills. That team, I don't know if they would have won the Super Bowl. That Eagles team was fantastic, but that 2024 team was special. What they did with all the doubters, that receiving core, everybody eats, nobody was believing it. Look what they did. Absolutely incredible team. So I'm not trying to be negative. I am just trying to say that this 1990 Buffalo Bills team was ahead. I mean, it was years ahead of where it was in 1990. And that's why they were the best team. They should have won a Super Bowl. And it wasn't for some, I'll say this multiple times, some coaching mistakes in the Super Bowl, we would be a winner. All right, Jake, we are back and we are going to talk about the trenches. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one, Jake. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let me start this round real quick here. So, supporting my Buffalo Bills in 1990, Will Wolford, Jim Richard, Kent Hall, John Davis, Big John Davis, and the House Howard Ballard. And let me give you some notes on these guys. So Wolford was a first-round draft pick in 1986, 20th overall, and played for the Bills from 1986 to 1992. He played 7 years for the Bills and was a Pro Bowler in 1990 and 92, and later in his career with the Colts in 95. Jim Richard. Now, Jim Richard was drafted as a center. He was also, I believe he was a first-round pick as well. He was drafted to be a center, but they moved him to guard. Now, he was the lightest on our team. And by the way, when you take the average weight between these two teams, we're giving up, I think the Bills average was about 297, and 1990 Bills offensive line average is about 297 in weight, and the Buffalo Bills are about 320. So I'm giving up a little over 20 pounds average. And really what's bringing that down is Jim Richard, who was, like I said, he weighed 273. Now, you might say, well, dude, he doesn't stand a chance. But let me just tell you about Jim Richard. Jim Richard he started every game for 11 seasons with the Buffalo Bills, Jake. Never missed an offensive snap except for maybe some equipment change. Dude was extremely strong, and quick. And there was one guy who played with him, Ken Jones, who was I think Ken Jones was a tackle for us. And he said that Richard could bench press 310 pounds standing up. I still don't know what that really means. Is that 310 going out, or are you 310 you going over your head, 310 standing up? I don't know which one it was, but if that's true, and I believe it to be true, Jim Richards was extremely, extremely strong guy. Now, this is where I was talking about earlier on. Daquan Jones would be my biggest scare. He's 320 pounds, so you're giving up 47. Let's just round it to 50. Giving up 50 pounds against a defensive lineman. But I'm going to say this, Jake. There was no offensive lineman, O-line, in better shape than the 1990 Bills. And why is that? They ran the 2-minute K-gun, basically 2 minutes every time they got the ball. Daquan Jones would probably be gassed real quick. Yeah. And here's the other thing, Jake. I don't know if the Bills in 2024 last year would put Daquan Jones on the field against this team because you can't substitute. If the Bills were to substitute, then the defensive team is able to substitute. But if the Bills go right to the line and they don't substitute, I'm saying I say Bills like there's the 1990 Bills. If Jim Kelly goes to the line and they don't substitute, the Bills can't substitute anybody. So I'm not even sure Daquan Jones would be the right fit to play this team. But I do believe Richard would have some surprises up his sleeve. Just being that strong, being that quick. And really, we'd probably scheme a little bit to kind of maybe help him if he needed. I did have a rookie named Glenn Parker who was over 300 pounds who could play guard as well. But I think Jim Richard could get the job done. Then at center, you have Kent Hall. Oh, my God. Missed only 2 games with the Bills. And at one point, Jake played in 121 straight games, earning his nickname as Tough. Hall was a 3-time Pro Bowl selection and anchored the offensive line on a team that made 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. All losses of, unfortunately, a core piece of that K-gun. Just incredible guy. He was 6'5", 284. By the way, Wilford was 6'5", 294. Richard, 273. I already said that. Then we had big John Davis. John Davis is one of our bigger offensive line. He was 6'4", 310. He was drafted by the Oilers in the 11th round of the 1987 draft. Played for the Bills from 89 to 94. Played in 3 of the 4 Super Bowls with the Bills. He missed the Super Bowl 26 due to a knee injury. So he was there with the team, just missed one of the Super Bowls. So big guy there. And then we got the house Bellier. Now I'm gonna tell you something. This man was drafted in the 11th round. 11th round, Jake. Probably maybe one of the biggest steals in Bills history as far as draft goes. Right. You'd be hard pressed to find a bigger steal. He was 6'6", and he was 325, and him and Richard Webb of the Dolphins. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of Richard Webb of the Dolphins. Yeah,
Richard Webb, yeah.
They started the trend of massive players playing tackle. They were the starters of that, right? Before them, it was, 300 if you're lucky or less. But here's the house Ballard. Fantastic, incredible. And again, so my only concern on that O-line, if any concern at all, would be Jim Richard because of his size. But because I don't think Daquan Jones would be playing in that game, because he could not stay on the field with this K-gun, I'm telling you right now, Jake, I know the Bills' offensive line for 2024 and 2023 have been together. They got some great chemistry. I know McGovern slid over to center. We were concerned about that. And David Edwards. They did fantastic. But I'm not giving up this round. I do believe, if anything, I'm not going to go beyond, this is a 10-10 round for me. I think because these guys are so well-conditioned, they prove that running that K-gun. You have to be the best conditioned O-line in the game back in 1990. So anyhow, that's my thoughts. Let me throw it to you.
Yeah, size is not everything, Mike. And I'll tell you this. I mean, you got some great, just gritty, underrated players on this 90s offensive line here. Guys that are not Hall of Famers. They all made their fair share of Pro Bowls here and there. I don't think John Davis ever made one. But you talk about just consistency. loyalty to the game and athleticism, just perfecting their craft. This is the epitome of it. And you know what I also love, Mike? Look at all the neck rolls on these guys. I mean, the equipment back then was incredible. I love this 2024 Bills offensive line. This is one of the best Bills offensive lines in recent memory. But I think you're kind of right on this. I mean, when you look at just that 90s O-line and the fact that they were so conditioned, it actually would probably behoove them to be conditioned like they are in today's NFL. You can run a quick 2-minute offense and do your thing in the modern day NFL as well. So, yeah, I mean, I love this O-line. I love Deion Dawkins. I love Connor McGovern. He played much better at center than anyone ever thought. Actually had a better year than Mitch Morse did the previous year, and Osiris Torrance, you talk about consistency. I mean, the guy has had a great start to his career, starting nearly every single snap and not really missing any time at all. Spencer Brown had a phenomenal year last year. David Edwards filled in extremely well. Deion Dawkins, Pro Bowl left tackle, a top 5 left tackle in football right now. But I think the sum of all the parts here, it's hard to argue that the 90s O-line isn't better and more equipped. And then you factor in the defensive line they're going up against. This 90s offensive line going up against our current defensive line,
Yeah.
I think they would fare pretty well, like you said. Now, this 2024 offensive line for the Bills going up against the defensive line of the 90s Bills, I mean, Bruce Smith alone, right? It's going to be very trying. So, yeah, I think I'm going to concede on this one, Mike. I'm going to give you the win.
Okay.
Hate to do it, but I'm going to do it.
I'm not going to argue for it. Like I said, it was going to be hard to even say 10-10, but again, you talked about the 2-minute offense. The 2-minute offense could be run in today's game.
Absolutely.
But nobody runs it all the time. Like every time they get the ball, the Buffalo Bills in the K-gun. And 1990 was when they first introduced it, Jake. Introduced it. And nobody was running it like them. They took the no-huddle and all that to the next level. And I just, like we've already said, the conditioning alone. And you look at these guys. Do any of them look like fat slobs?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Maybe John Davis got a little belly going on there, but you
Even
need
so,
you need a little bit of that. Maybe he had a few.
Right?
He enjoyed the wings a little bit more than the other guys did.
Yeah.
You have to wonder back then what was their wing place, right? Love to know that. We should have asked. We asked Andre Reed that, didn't we?
He loves the big tree. I know that. He would always go to the big tree, from my understanding. Actually, great story. Big Al bought Andre Reed a beer at the big tree one time, and he returned the favor. So pretty cool.
Really? So was the big tree a thing back in? It had to be. I know it's been around many years. Was it a thing in 1990?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So we're gonna give a 10-9 round to the Buffalo Bills, and in no disrespect, like I said, this O-line is continuing. They're ascending, Jake. And I expect them to even go higher than they were last year and just become maybe one of the best O-lines in the game. I know they weren't quite the best O-line, but they were pretty damn close to being one of the best O-lines last year. All right. Let's see. I don't know if I started the round, but we're going to end it.
Here we go.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Oh, baby. Tight ends. All right. Keith McKellar, Pete Metzlers, and Butch Roll. Now, Keith McKellar, I don't know if many people know this. Probably you don't. I know you do, Jake. But the K-Gun, it wasn't named after Jim Kelly. It was named after Keith McKellar. And why was that? And that was because Keith McKellar was so versatile. Not only was a good pass catcher, but he could block as well. So the Bills had, when they went to that line with Jim Kelly, they had options. They can go run, they can go pass. They didn't have to bring any different personnel in. He was that guy. So Kelly would make the plays, make the play calls on the fly at the line of scrimmage, adjusting, kind of sort of like Sandlot football, Jake, right? When you go, you're playing with your friends and they're coming to the huddle and they're like, look, Jake Podger's trying to watch me. He's slow as heck. Throw it to me. I'm beating him all the time. So they're kind of adjusting things on the fly, talking. Keith McKellar
was a wide receiver initially.
Yeah, good receiver, good blocker. And that's why the K-Gun. He was 6'6", 240.
Yeah.
Right? 6'6", 240, good size. What's Knox and Kincaid weighing in these days?
So they're both like 250-ish.
Okay.
around there. I think Dalton's a little bit lighter, but yeah, Dawson Knox is around 250 something.
All right, so good height. We got Metzlars, who really didn't get a lot of time playing here, but we know Pete was a very good tight end. He had some bigger years after 90 with the Buffalo Bills. And what was it? Up until a few years ago, when Kincaid was a rookie, he actually beat Metzlar's record for, what was it, receptions or targets?
It
Receptions,
was
right?
receptions, yep.
Yeah, so Dalton Kincaid. So you could see Metzlar's was a big piece later in the Bills mix, but because they had Keith McCullough, he was their main guy. He was the K-gun. He needed to be out there because of his versatility. Now, Butch Roll. Jake, I'm going to tell you something about Butch Roll, and you might know, you might not, but this is a trivia question for the ages. In the first game in 1990, Butch Roll had 3 receptions for 3 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, yes, I did know this.
Right?
Yeah,
3 receptions for 3 touchdowns, and he didn't have any other receptions the rest of the year.
Yep.
He is also he had a streak of 10 catches for touchdowns, 10 consecutive catches for touchdowns. Now, why didn't he get a lot of play? Well, obviously, he's the third stringers like Quentin Morris was last year. You're not going to get a lot of play when you got Keith McCullough and you got Pete Metzlars. So, now I look at your 2024 Bills. I say I look at your 2024 Bills like they're not mine either. But I'm pretending they're not my team in this battle. Dawson Knox, always solid, good blocker, decent receiver. I mean, I always feel the Bills underutilize him as a receiver.
Yeah,
but he's okay. Now Kincaid, definitely a down year last year because of all the injuries. Then you got Quentin Morris, good solid third stringer. This is a tough one, Jake. I mean, again, because of McCullough's versatility, does he have the edge over Knox? I want to say so. So let's look at some stats here. Let's go to some stats, Jake. Bring them up. You bring up Dawson Knox's stats, and I'm going to bring up McCullough's stats. Okay.
Yep. So Dawson Knox, 22 catches, 311 yards, 14.1 yards per catch, only 1 tud. And then, Kincaid wasn't much better.
So McCullough, 34 receptions for 464 yards and 5 touchdowns. You would think they would have even threw to him more. And then Butch Roll. Butch Roll had 3 touchdowns in the first game. And then Pete Metzlars. Let me give you some numbers from Pete as well here.
He had a long career. Started his career in Seattle. And I believe, you want to talk about trivia facts, I think it was him and Frank Reich were the first connecting quarterback receiver duo touchdown scorers in Carolina Panthers history. So there's a fun fact for you.
Yeah, you're right. He was started with Seattle, played for Seattle for 3 years, played most of his career with Buffalo, and he really took off starting in 92. Had 43 receptions in 92, 93, he had 95. That was the year that Kincaid, a couple years ago. These were the records that Kincaid
The receptions,
broke. Yeah. So he had 68 receptions. He had 95 targets, had 4 touchdowns. He had 6 touchdowns in 92. So even though he didn't play much in 1990, he started 5 games, 10 receptions for 60 yards and a touchdown. And of course, we had Butch Roll over there. So I'm going to give McCullough the edge over Knox, and I'm going to give the edge of McCullough over Kincaid, either one. Now, I know you guys throw them out there. Again, I keep talking like this on my team, but it isn't for this purpose. I know you guys like to throw both of them out there. And I don't think the Bills, my team, the 1990 Bills, would be throwing out a second tight end. Maybe in some cases, if we want to get Thurman really rolling. But again, so I'm going to give, I don't want to disrespect. I feel like I'm just disrespecting this 2024 Bills team. But the tight ends have been a little bit of a disappointment, especially last year. So again, if I'm thinking 2024, I'm giving the edge to the Bills here. Now, I'll give you a 10-10 round if you want to fight for that, Jake. Um, I mean, you talk to me. Maybe you convince me otherwise. Talk to me.
I would say if it was the 2023 Buffalo Bills tight end core, I would feel a lot better about this argument. The problem is Dalton Kincaid took a step back last year, and that wasn't all due to just him not playing well. There were some underlying injury issues that he was dealing with all season long. So that definitely contributed a little bit. But I mean, you look at just the numbers alone. I mean, McKellar outdid Dawson Knox, and he nearly outdid Dalton Kincaid as well. Based on the time period too, the tight end position back in 1990, like an elite season for a tight end back then was like 600, 700 yards. Nowadays, you have tight ends regularly going for over 1,000 yards a season for the elite top tier guys, which is insane. You would have never imagined that position would have evolved the way it did. So back in the 90s, your tight ends were still, you had your Kellen Winslow's, your Ozzie Newsome's, your Shannon Sharps coming into the league. But that position really wasn't what it is nowadays. Those guys kind of laid the groundwork for what the tight end position is now. So what McKellar was able to do was super impressive. His size still would hold up to today. Kincaid's 6'4", 240. Dawson Knox is 6'5", 240 or 254 or something like that. So, I mean, right in line with size. Metzelaars is the best tight end in Buffalo Bills history as far as I'm concerned. He's 6'7", 254 as well, played a long career in the NFL. And Butch Roll, I mean, you talk about touchdown percentage. Like you said, Mike, what was his first 10 catches? All for touchdowns? That's
I don't know if it
insane.
was his first 10. I just know there was a 10 streak in there where he caught 10 passes for 10 touchdowns.
It's incredible.
Let me bring that up here.
I want to know the career numbers, too. I mean, what is the percentage of catches that resulted in touchdowns for Butch Roll? Because it's got to be super high.
So let's talk about this. So in 87, he had 2 touchdowns. 2 receptions, Jake. 2 touchdowns, 2 receptions. Okay.
Yep.
In 88, 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns.
Let's get Butch Roll on the show. We need to talk to this guy.
1989, 1 reception, 1 touchdown. In 1990, 3 receptions for 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then in 1991, he had 3 receptions. The first 2 were for touchdowns. The last one broke the streak and was not. How crazy is that? And then
that is insane.
And then let's see, in 92, he had his most receptions, but it's funny. In 92, in 93, he had 0 touchdowns in 92, even though he had 22 targets that year, and he only had 1 touchdown. And by the way, 92 and 93, he's playing for Phoenix Cardinals.
Oh, the Phoenix Cardinals back in the day. Yeah.
Back in the day. So how crazy is that? Butch Roll, oh my goodness, what a great trivia question.
That is amazing. I love it.
100% catch percentage for his first he did have 4 reception 86 for no touchdowns. The streak started in 87.
Wow. That is amazing. I mean, really, really great trivia stuff. And that's the stuff that I love, Mike. That is some Bills lore that you can never forget. So I am so here for it. I know Butch Roll, he's still very big in the Buffalo Bills like fan base community and everything. And I know he goes to like Bills backers bars and does meetups and stuff. So we got to get this man on the show because we got to just talk about this.
I know, right? Right. We got to figure out how to get a hold of him.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. So
yeah.
All right, listen, Jake. I don't want to be that guy.
I know it's all right.
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give it I know we hate saying this. I'm gonna give it a 10-10 because listen, I'm gonna take Dalton Kincaid not injured in 1990. Okay. Let's just say, or 2024 last year. If Kincaid is healthy, I'm just gonna put that out there. If he's playing healthy, we know how good he can be.
Yeah.
We know how good he can be. I still think the Bills underutilize him as well. In 2024, they don't seem to throw him the ball down the middle of the field for whatever reason. We like to throw these outs to our tight ends all the time. But I can't be that guy who says the 1990 Bills are going to win every round. And even this one, I'm kind of feeling bad because I'm saying it's a 10-10 round. But again, remember, Jake, we're in 2024. The numbers here, I'm going to throw this out there as well. The numbers for all my receivers and tight ends would be much higher because of the illegal contact. Back in those days in 1990, I mean, these guys were getting hit well beyond 5 yards. And now Jim Kelly says, wow, you mean you're telling me that they're actually enforcing this rule?
Right.
Oh my God. All our stats, all our receivers, our tight ends, numbers are going to go up. So because of that, I'm going to keep it 10-10, keep it real.
Wow.
But that's another reason I would have had them win, but I can't, Jake. I can't be that guy.
Here I am trying to convince you that your core is better, and you're going 10-10 on this, Mike.
I could easily say it, but I feel like I'm just saying that too much. So anyhow, I'd love to hear in the comments as well. 10-10?
Here's my argument as to why you probably should win this round. I mean, you literally have the guy who is the whole reason for the K-gun offense. And then on top of that, you have arguably the best Buffalo Bills tight end in their history. And then you have Butch Roll, who just catches touchdowns. I mean, that's a pretty impressive trio.
All right, Jake. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to take your –
I'm just saying. And I like my tight ends here. They're I think they're juice players. Dawson Knox, I feel like every time he does touch the ball, it's a big play. Like something good usually happens. Yeah. It's either a drop or like a big time play. It's one of the two. Kincaid, if he can just stay healthy, and that was the issue. Just really was not healthy. Was just not himself, I feel like, in 2024. And if it was 2023, I may argue a little different here, but I just can't do it, Mike. I can't do it justice. I'm sorry.
Well, Big Al will be very proud of you. All right, Buffalo, tight ends, 1990, take the round 10-9.
And Quentin Morris, by the way, do want to give some love to him. Shout out Quentin Morris, Bowling Green guy. Came in the league as a receiver as well, similar to Keith McKellar. But, I mean, he had that one sick one-handed catch in the end zone where Josh kind of just threw it up, and he caught it. I think it was against Miami. But, yeah, again, the trio here is just not as good as yours, Mike. Plain and simple.
All right. And again, we're talking they would have been playing in 2024. Do you think they transported the 2024 and will be just as good?
Yeah, I think they'd been your argument, I think, holds up. I think they'd be better just because of the
rule changes.
Yeah.
I mean, not only was the illegal contact, but what do they call it? The blindless receiver, where you can't just kill these guys anymore.
Yes.
Defenseless, right. And just kill these guys. They don't have to be. No, it still happens in the league. Somebody makes mistakes, but they're much better protected. All right, next round, the wide receivers. Oh boy.
Sheesh.
Oh
man.
Boy.
Yikes.
All right. Look, let's be real. And I'm going to tell you something about BB. BB was a rookie that year.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play as much as you thought, but if I was coming out with the K-gun and I was putting a third receiver out there, it was going to be BB. Or I have the guy that was Wes Welker before Wes Welker was the thing.
Yep.
You know who I'm talking about?
Absolutely. None other than. Yes.
Steve Tasker, right? Steve Tasker was only 5'9". So was Wes Welker. Steve Tasker was, I think, 180. I think Wes Welker was 185. And Jim Kelly wanted Tasker on the field as much as he could. Special teams coach said, no, man, this guy's too important to our special teams. But when he was out there, he was something, and he was very tough to cover. Again, I say this, I've said it in the past, he was Wes Welker before Wes Welker was the thing. And if they had wanted him to play that position more, he would have. And I think even Tasker, if you were to talk to him, I think what I read is, he didn't really ask for more playing time on offense. He really wanted to be that best special team player he could be. So he really focused on his craft there. But I have BB, who was a speedster. I have James Lofton, who was, let me give you some again, I want to give you size.
Yards per catch. You want to talk about yards per catch, James Lofton, man. I think in his career averaged over 18 yards per catch. It's incredible. Over 14,000 yards. Yeah.
So Lofton was, I'm going to give you your size and height here because that's a big thing for me, right? In the receiver world, I don't want these short receivers. I don't. And these guys would meet my criteria. Andre Reed, Let me give you his numbers here real quick. He was 6'2", 190 pounds, a little on the light side, but still, it's Andre Reed. James Lofton, you look at him and you're like, man, he's a little bit of a stick. But let's see here. He was 6'3", 192. Still very good size. You got BB out there, of course, who was 5'11", 185. Now, BB was that speedster, like I said. And let me give you his numbers for 1990. He was a rookie there. This is his first year. Actually, I'm sorry. He played in 89. He was drafted in 89. Didn't start in any games. He actually had, in his rookie year, 17 receptions for 317 and 2 touchdowns. In 1990, he only had 11 receptions for 221, averaged 20.1 yards reception, and 1 touchdown. So in 90, he didn't really put up big numbers, but, well, I mean, it's hard to put up big numbers when you got Andre Reed, James Lofton, McKellar, Thurman. I mean, the list goes on. And then I think we even had, let me see here. Let me tell you the other guys that we had at receiver. I think we had, where is he?
Yeah. Al Edwards.
We had Al Edwards. Yeah, Al Edwards. And Al Edwards in 1990 had 2 receptions for 11 yards. So we didn't really go to that third receiver very much, right? Yeah. And let me see, did Tasker even get anything that year? Let's see. I think we played him a little bit in 1990. Receiver. Nope. He had 2 receptions in his first year in 1985 with Houston. Steve Tasker, by the way, started with Houston, believe it or not. Became a Buffalo Bill in 1986. Played part of the year with the Bills. Played part of the year with the Houston. And he didn't have his first receptions with Buffalo until 1990. Check this out. 2 receptions, 44 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
Tasker. How about that?
That is crazy.
So anyhow, I guess what I'm saying here, let's stack him up. And I should stop talking because I always start the thing off. Andre Reed over Mac Hollins. I love Mac Hollins. I love what he did for the Buffalo Bills. I love what he did. The dude was quiet, did what he was asked. He's not Andre Reed. Ian Coleman was a rookie last year. And, I'm not saying anything bad. He was a rookie. And did he underperform in my mind? I don't know, maybe a little bit, but I see nothing but good things for Keon Coleman in the future. But to see James Lofton, even in last year, James Lofton and Reed come in their prime like they were in 90, they're going to play just as well. It translates very well to 2024. And then I got BB and Khalil Shakir, or I got, if I wanted to throw a third receiver out there, or I got Tasker and Khalil. Now, Khalil, to me, is the best of those 3 receivers. But Jake, I got to give the Bills at least a 10-9 here, but talk to me.
Oh my gosh, Mike, you're being generous with the 10-9. Listen,
I'm trying.
I hate it because everyone does point at this narrative that the Buffalo Bills do not have a good receiver room. And sure, they're not household names, but these guys are unselfish. They play team football. It's an everybody eats mentality, which, I'm not saying anything new here, right? But yeah, I mean, when you compare the 1990s Buffalo Bills receiving core to the 2024, it's actually disgusting. I mean, you're comparing Andre Reed, a Hall of Famer, to Mac Hollins. And at this time, Andre Reed, in 1990, you were probably feeling like, there's a chance this guy could be, he's a special player. You knew he was one of the most elite receivers in football. At this point, James Lofton was for sure a Hall of Famer. Actually, this is kind of his back 9 here in Buffalo, and he still was really good.
Yep.
I mean, the guy played till he was like 37 years old. It's pretty incredible. I think he did have a 1,000-yard season with the Bills, but it wasn't in 1990.
Right. And
that was his first year with us, right?
Yeah, Reed didn't even have 1,000 yards. It was 945. A little bit short, 8 touchdowns. And then I'll give you Lofton's number in 1990 as well. In 1990, he was 712 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So, and did he have 1,000 for the Bills? Let's see here.
He did. He was a Pro Bowler one of the years, I believe.
He did in 1991. He had 1,072 yards. Yep, 8 touchdowns that year and Pro Bowler. And obviously, it was a Pro Bowler, early in his career. So coming over to Buffalo, Green Bay. So he was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-time Pro Bowler with Green Bay, and then he played a few years with the Raiders.
Yep.
did decent. He seemed to have a down year in 88 and 89. Bills got him and resurrected his career for a little bit longer. So,
Yeah.
sorry, interrupted. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's it's just it really is. It's unfair to even compare these. You have Khalil Shakir, who I would probably take over Don Beebe for sure,
Yes.
and that's the only matchup we're winning here. Otherwise, Mike, this is at least a knockdown. At least.
All right, Jake.
Hate to say it.
I'm gonna follow you here because I said 10-9 as being kind. I was.
Yeah.
But I want to wait for your opinion because
Yeah, I can't do it.
Again, these guys, I believe, would translate to 2024 and play just as well. There's no
probably
speedster.
Better.
Yeah, probably better. Can you imagine if Josh Allen had these guys?
Oh my gosh, it'd be insane. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Unreal.
Talk about yak. I mean, Khalil Shakir in his yak is impressive, but Andre Reed is the definition of yak receiver.
Look, everybody knows if you've watched our channel, Andre Reed and Jim Kelly are 1A and 1B, my favorite all-time players. When I was out in the street or in the playground playing football, if I was quarterback, and of course, originally I was Joe Ferguson, but then it was Kelly. I'm out there being Kelly. Andre Reed was the guy. Before Reed, it was Bob Chandler. I was Bob Chandler all the time. But Andre Reed, 1A, 1B, and we got to have Andre Reed on our show. And that was just such a special thing for me. I mean, I know it was for you too, Jake, but I could not believe we had Andre Reed on our show. And I go back and I think, man, there's so many more questions I would have loved to ask them. Like, I would have loved to kind of get into that Super Bowl, that first Super Bowl. What were the Giants doing? Were they really hitting you beyond 5 yards? Because I believe they were, because I already said they weren't really enforcing that illegal contact beyond 5 yards until 2004. It was implemented in 1978, but they weren't enforcing it. I would love to hear his take. I would love to have asked them. I was kind of afraid to. It was like, did you guys really party before the Super Bowls? Well, come on, fill us in, Andre. I really want to know, right?
He did, all right.
So would he probably? I was afraid he would say, "I'm sorry, Mike, I got to go right now." But there's so many other questions I would have loved to ask him. But man, dude, that was a special day for us at Nickel City Mafia.
It was.
All right, Jake. So we're gonna give the Buffalo Bills 1990 a knockdown. 10-8 round. I'll tell you right now, it's going to be tough for you to recover, my friend.
I'm just saying. I know.
Again, we don't know the scorekeepers on the side over here. We don't know what they're scoring this themselves. But from our analyst on this show over here to the side, he's got the Bills a little bit ahead here. You better say you got to go for the knockout at this point. You better start talking knockout rounds here. And I don't know if there's too many of those, buddy. All right, let's move on to the next round here, and that is the running backs. Whew, Jake, I'm gonna let you start. I feel like I've been hogging up talking first, so it's all yours, my friend.
Yeah, this is really. I mean, again, Thurman wasn't an MVP just yet, but the following season he was an MVP. Kenneth Davis, obviously notable player, really solid backup for Thurman for so many years. Yeah, and then you got Donnie Smith too. I mean, this is a hell of a trio. And while the Buffalo Bills running backs were great this year, James Cook over 1,000 yards and however many touchdowns. I mean, got touchdowns basically stolen away from him just because Josh had a lot too. He had 12. James Cook had 16 this year. And I think he did set the rushing touchdown record in a single season for Buffalo Bills history, I want to say, or he tied it, right? Or I think he did break it. Nonetheless, impressive year, but just not good enough when you're comparing him to the likes of Thurman Thomas. A do-it-all player, in my opinion, the best running back in Buffalo Bills history. I think better than OJ even, Mike. I know it's probably kind of killing you hearing that, but in my opinion, there's no one better to do it. And just a Hall of Fame individual, Hall of Fame player. So a little bit of bias kicking in here, but yeah, I mean, I got to give the nod to the Buffalo Bills 90s running backs core. Do want to give a shout out to Ty Johnson and Ray Davis. I mean, Ray Davis was rookie in 2024, had a phenomenal year. You want to talk about a juice player, a guy that would make a big play when you most needed it. He was always there. He's a home run hitter and super impressive outing for him. And then again, carrying that trend, Ty Johnson. I mean, this is the dude who truly made the most of his opportunities and always seemed to come up with a big play when it mattered most. And really one of the more reliable guys on the team in terms of catching the football too, which is crazy to say as a running back. So yeah, just overall a solid running back core, above average running back core here in 2024. They did amazing things, but I just can't put them up against the likes of Thurman Thomas and even Kenny Davis too.
Are you sure you're not? You sure you're taking into account the rules and regulations for 2024, right? I want you to keep that in mind. I do want to give you some.
I think their skill sets actually really translate well to this modern day NFL too. I mean, Thurman was a great pass catching back as well. I think he was probably third on the team in receiving, if I'm correct, in 1990. So he did it both, man.
Yeah, I want to give you some numbers for Thurman. Thurman, 5'10", 200-pounder. Don Smith, 5'11", 200-pounder. By the way, Thurman Thomas was a second-round pick for the Buffalo Bills, 40th overall. Boy, was he pissed off about that. Boy, was he upset about that. Don Smith, he was a second-round 51st overall pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then Kenneth Davis was a second-round pick, 41st overall from the Green Bay Packers. So I don't know how they were lucky enough to get these guys on the team. I kid you not, but let's just give you some numbers here from all three of them. Let's see if they all contributed in some way, shape, or form. So in 1990, Thurman Thomas ran the ball 271 attempts for 1,297 yards for 11 touchdowns. His receiving, he had 49 receptions for 532 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that was low. I mean, those numbers just kept increasing for the next 2 years during the Super Bowl run. And then let's go over the other guys real quick. Let's see how they contributed. I do know Don Smith was one of the guys. I think, was he the only guy who scored a touchdown in that 91 Super Bowl? But he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
1 yard dive. They do have some numbers for him. He ran the ball
back.
22. He ran the ball 20 times in 90, 82 yards and a touchdown. And reception wise, man, I'll tell you what, 21 receptions for 225 yards. No receiving touchdowns. But then let's go over to, by the way, they had a guy, I don't think he played much. Larry Kennebrew was a running back.
Oh, yeah.
And he was 6'1", 255 pounds. Oh, my goodness.
Good boy.
Let me see if he even ran the ball at all for them.
He was really a fullback, kind of converted to running back, but he was with Cincinnati, right? Before Buffalo, I want to say.
He was with Cincinnati most of his career. He was with the Bills in 89 and 90, and then that was the end of his career. He had let's see. He had 9 rushing attempts for 18 yards and 1 touchdown. The year before in 89, he had, they actually ran the ball a lot with him in 89. 131 attempts, 533 yards, 6 touchdowns. Damn.
Wow. That's impressive. That's probably as a fullback, too, I would think, right? Because then we drafted Carwell Gardner.
They had Jamie Mueller. Yes. The fullback man. Carwell Gardner was a rookie. And we'll see them. 90. We'll see them come up in a little bit. All right.
Okay.
Do I have them? Yes, I do have a fullback slide only because of you. Only because of you, sir. So let me open this up here. I'm looking at Kenneth Davis now for 1990. Davis ran the ball 64 times for 302 yards, 4 touchdowns, and receiving, he had 9 receptions for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. Obviously, Thurman was the star of the show, but any of these guys, like if Thurman had to go out for a breather, if Thurman did get hurt and miss a game, I wasn't sweating it as much as you normally would, knowing that I had Kenneth Davis or Don Smith behind him. Good stuff there. But anyhow, all right, we scored that one. I think we scored that one. What do we do? What do we end up with there?
I said knockdown rather.
Oh, knockdown, my friend.
It's all right, tough, folks. Mike, I know.
Look, here I am trying to be.
Maybe 10-9. Give this one 10-9.
10-9. Come on. Yeah, let's go.
We'll give it 10-9. I mean, we don't want to downplay what our running backs did in 2020.
Absolutely.
It's extremely impressive in a pass-happy league.
Yes, definitely. All right, let's move on. We're getting close. Fullbacks, baby.
Yes. Oh man, listen. You know I got so much love for Reggie Gilliam. I mean, I have a jersey of him. We are one of like 6 NFL teams to still utilize a fullback in the offense. And he doesn't get utilized enough. I mean, every time 41's on the field, it seems like something good happens. But with that being said, it is tough to go up against the likes of Jamie Mueller and Carwell Gardner. 2 really good fullbacks. Carwell Gardner was a second-round pick too, wasn't he, Mike?
I'll give you that information.
I think he was.
Right now. Yeah, he was Buffalo Bills, second-round pick, 42nd overall in 1980. I'm sorry. No. Let me give you that right. In 1990, he was the second-round pick, 42nd overall for the Buffalo Bills.
That is something. And it's crazy because I think this is Jamie Miller's last year in the NFL in 1990. And he only played a few years. It wasn't that long.
Let me double check that. Let me fact check that.
I want to say.
Quick. So you're absolutely right. It was his last year.
Crazy. So
Carwell Gardner was a stud. Loved him.
He was a really good fullback. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, man, look at this. This is prime fullback years, Mike. This fires me up just seeing you got 2 fullbacks on the screen here. This is like music and just everything. All music to my ears and just everything rolled into one. As much as I love Reggie Gilliam, gosh, this 90s fullback unit is impressive. So, and I think, listen, today's NFL, I think Carwell Gardner would translate a little bit better than Jamie Mueller. Reggie Gilliam is a unique situation because he was initially a tight end at Toledo, converted from tight end to fullback, and he's more of like that H-back type where he can play a little bit of everything. He can do both. He's essentially our 4th tight end if we need him to be. And he plays specials, and he does all the right things. As much as I want to give him the victory, though, I just can't. I can't do it, Mike. So I'm going to say it's a close 10-9, just because modern-day NFL, I think Reggie Gilliam obviously plays a little bit better in this era than those 2 do. But overall, got to still give you the win there.
Yeah, so Gilliam was the bigger of the 3. I think Gilliam weighs in about 244. Gardner, what did I say? Weighed in at 240, 6'2". Played for the Bills. Let's see. Here was a rookie in 1990. He played for the Bills for 4, 5, 6 years. Then he moved on to Baltimore and finished his career in San Diego. So I don't know. I don't know if I'd consider that a shortened career. I guess not for running backs and fullbacks back in the day. What do you have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-year career. I think the average at one point in time was what, 5 years for a running back or something like that?
Yeah, right.
Something crazy.
Yeah.
The most touchdowns he ever put up was in 1991, 4 touchdowns. And again, when you got Thurman Thomas, you're not seeing the field a whole lot, right? You're just not, especially in that K-gun offense. Not putting a fullback out there. Now, I might have to utilize one of these fullbacks to help, Richard with Daquan Jones, the bigger dude. I don't know. But again, in the game, if we're playing in 2024, I don't think you're seeing any of these guys playing fullback, if I'm being honest. Maybe for an important short yardage, because I can tell you Jim Kelly is not doing the tush push. No. So no, Jim Kelly came into the last year and he said, there's this thing called the tush push. You tell his coach, look, I don't want anything to do with that, but maybe you can have Mueller and Gardner and put Thurman as or Frank as that quarterback and let them push him. Let them push their tushes.
Could you imagine? I love it.
All right, let's see here. I'll make sure we are around 9. Yeah, we're keeping up properly.
Man, this 90s team is good. I mean, you think of it, it's like, the 2024 team, what they did offensively, like they set so many records, but like that 90s team, man, they were special. And I don't think they were. Like going through this makes you realize just how special that team was.
They were ahead of their time. They were ahead of their time for sure. And, people say, there's guys that are just as fast as anybody on the Bills last year, 2024. So when you say they're bigger, maybe they're bigger. They're definitely bigger, I'd say, more on the O-line and on the D-line. There's some spots, especially at nose tackle, across the O-line altogether, where guys are heavier. Are they stronger, more athletic? I don't know. I would question that. I mean, yes, this probably in most cases. Against the 1990 Bills, I don't know how much of that's true. More athletic, I don't see that as well. I don't know. But anyhow, you hear that today all the time. Guys are much more athletic, stronger, faster. All right, Jake, let's move on. Here we go.
Here we go.
This is going to be a good one. I'm going to let you start. Balls in your court.
All right. So Jim Kelly was holding the throne for the longest time as best quarterback in Buffalo Bills history, right? Before him, it was Joe Ferguson. Before him, it was Jack Kemp. Jim Kelly was the guy up until maybe 2020 when Josh Allen really started to cement himself as who he is today. And we've never had a quarterback like him in franchise history. You look at the modern day NFL, he is the perfect type of quarterback for the modern day NFL. Jim Kelly, we're seeing a lot less of these brick-footed pocket passing quarterbacks. It just isn't really a thing anymore in the NFL. Not a lot of it's a dying breed. There's just not a lot of guys like that anymore. What Josh does on the field is just beyond impressive. I can't say enough of how much he means to me. I'm just going to start rambling and probably make this a whole love note to Josh Allen. And this is no disrespect to Jim Kelly as the football player, because I'll tell you what, like, he was incredible. The heart, the just willingness to overcome and battle and do his thing, and incredible quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback. But to me, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in Buffalo Bills history. So I can't give you a win here, Mike. This is the one where I'm going to take it. I'm not going to say it's a knockdown. I'm going to say it's 10-9 because I got to give flowers where they are due. If Josh Allen retired right now, I don't know. I think he's a Hall of Famer, but would he get in? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how the voters would feel about that, which is crazy. Jim Kelly is a Hall of Famer. And at this time in 1990, he was definitely in a class of his own. I mean, he's right up there with Elway and Steve Young and Joe Montana, So I'm going to give Josh the nod here, 10-9. And I'm going to let you go because I want to hear your thoughts on this.
All right. So 1990 was one of the better years for Jim Kelly, believe it or not. He was like Josh Allen, years prior, throwing, and even after 90, Jim would throw a lot of picks like Josh Allen had done years prior. So I'm going to give you some stats between the two in 1990. And then I'm going to use adjusted stats for Kelly if he was to throw as many times as Josh Allen did. So let me give you the numbers here. Jim Kelly threw the ball 346 times. Josh Allen threw the ball 483 times. Jim Kelly completed 219 compared to Josh Allen's 307. Completion percentage for Jim Kelly was 63.3. Josh Allen was 63.6. I mean, we're spot on right here.
Yeah.
Total yards per completion, Jim Kelly, 12.9. Josh, 12.2. Total yards, Jim Kelly threw for 2,829 yards, whereas Josh Allen threw for 3,731 yards. Jim Kelly threw for 24 touchdowns. Josh Allen threw for 28. Touchdown percentage, 6.5 for Jim Kelly, 5.8 for Josh Allen. Interceptions, one of the best year for Jim Kelly as a Buffalo Bill. Only threw 9. And lo and behold, last year was Josh Allen's best year as far as interceptions go. So Josh threw 6. So Jim Kelly's interception percentage was 2.6 compared to Josh Allen's 1.2. Jim Kelly was sacked 20 times, Josh Allen 14. And the reason why Josh Allen was only sacked 14 times is because of his legs. That dude, I mean, the offensive line was good, but he makes any offensive line that much better, right? Mm-hmm. So, and in years past, Josh had some decent sacks against him as well. But again, last year was just a solid year for the O-line. And of course, his legs allow him to get out of trouble. Don't get me wrong. Jim Kelly can get out of trouble. He can slide to the right. He's not the runner, but he'll take it if he had to. But again, like you said, he's more of that pocket passer. Before I go, let me get through the stats, and then I'm going to ask you another question. Remind me that I want to ask you a question about other pocket passers in today's game. All right, so nine interceptions for Jim, 6 for Josh. Sack 20 to 14. Jim Kelly was sacked 20 times, 14 for Josh Allen. Sack percentage 5.46 for Jim, 2.82 for Josh. Rushing attempts, big disparity here, right? 22 rushes for 63 yards for Jim Kelly, 0 touchdowns, whereas Josh Allen 102 for 531 and 12 touchdowns. Now, you're like, okay, big disparity there. Obviously, you're saying he's going to get the win. But let me give you some adjusted numbers. Based on all the percentages, let's just say Jim was able to throw the ball as many times as Josh Allen, 483 times. Based on the percentages, he would have completed 311 completions, 64% completion rate. And I take that 64 up because, again, I want you to remember, Mr. Podger, that the rules were different in 1990 for how they protected the offensive weapons. They didn't protect them in the 90s. Now, today, like I said a little earlier, if Jim Kelly was transported to 2024, and he's like, what? Reed and my guys are not going to get smashed over the middle, Lofton? They're not going to get hit, or they're going to be, the other team's going to be penalized. Oh my God, I'm loving this. I think that alone takes his numbers a little higher. So anyhow, back to total yards per completion. I stuck that at 12.9, and if that was the case, he would have threw for 4,011 yards, which was higher than Josh Allen. He would have threw for 31 touchdowns, which was 3 more than Josh Allen. He would have still had more interceptions, 13, because Jim was playing at a interception percentage of 2.6. He would have been sacked 26 times compared to Josh Allen's 14. So I want you to kind of put that in perspective. Like Jim Kelly, Josh Allen's 6'5". What's he at right now? Is he he's 225, something
6'5",
like that?
237.
237. Jim Kelly was 6'3", 217. No small guy on his own. They always referred to Jim Kelly as a quarterback and a linebacker's body. Very physical dude, would do whatever it takes. And again, think about how they protect the quarterback these days, Jake, right? Back then, Jim Kelly comes to 2024. What? These guys can't touch me for the most part? Oh my God. I'm going to be free to throw a lot more passes and not be fearful, or they're going to be penalized. So again, I'm not going to, it's hard for me, and I'm going to give you, this is my take. And anyone who saw Jim Kelly play, I believe Jim Kelly threw a better deep ball. He was a better decision maker, better screen pass. This is silly to say, but the dude, Josh Allen, cannot throw the screen pass to save his life. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And a better play caller. And why do I say that? Jim Kelly was the K-gun. He was the guy calling plays. Josh Allen, I felt, he's not been given those reins as much. No fault of his, I'm sure. But, I feel like there's been some adjustments. Like, again, I go back to that AFC championship game last year, and on that play, I felt like he could have called an adjustment, final play of the game, to get a little better protection. Again, Jim Kelly, better play caller, because Jim did call plays in that K-gun offense. And with all that said, if I was picking a quarterback, they were both against the fence, and I'm a captain. And I have to pick one of these guys from 2024 to start for my team. And by the way, Jim Kelly went to 4 Super Bowls. Josh Allen, 0.
Yeah,
0.
I mean,
0. And he's had an opportunity. Last year, he had the ball in his hands with time to go get the winning touchdown. He failed. With that said, though, it's hard to go against Josh Allen's athleticism. So
he's a unicorn. He's one of one. I don't think anyone,
because of what he does with his legs, Jim Kelly could never do that. And in today's game in 2024, you have to have a running quarterback. My question to you was, name me some quarterbacks. I can think of Tua that are not runners. They're just pure pocket passers in today's game. There's Tua, Kirk Cousins, although he didn't see the field much. Didn't he get benched last year? But who are some of those other quarterbacks? Stafford? There's some good quarterbacks, Jake, that aren't really runners. Throw me out some other names.
I mean, Brock Purdy is sneaky athletic, but he's more of a traditional pocket passer. But even so, I think he ran like 4.7 or something for his 40, which is crazy. Joe Burrow, I guess you could say he gets sacked an awful lot.
For sure.
Maybe Justin Herbert, but he even has some athleticism where he can get out, So it's just it's a different type of pocket passer now, if you will. Like your traditional pocket passers, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Bradys, there's really not a lot of those. I would say your purest example right now might be Joe Burrow, maybe, but outside of that, I mean, you look at every single team, most of the quarterbacks that are playing right now have some wheels and can get out. Now the Browns, they got Joe Flacco, so there is that. So that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's a different league. It's a different era. But to your point, Mike, given today's rules, as long as you have a good offensive line and Kelly's decision making, I agree. I would definitely give you the nod on that. I think decision making wise, it was elite. He threw a lot of interceptions for sure, but I do think I mean you could verify it even by looking at the completion percentage. I think he led the NFL in completion percentage in 1990. Back in 1990, the completion percentage, like elite completion percentage, was like 60 and above. Whereas now, that's the standard. The standard is like 65. Josh was like a little bit lower than what the standard really is. It was average. It wasn't like elite. But a 63.3 in 1990 for Jim Kelly, that's incredible. Like that's like a 70 plus in today's NFL. So there is that.
There's that.
Yeah.
So with all the things I said, this is a hard one because I told you earlier, Andre Reed and Jim Kelly 1A and 1B. But if I'm in the schoolyard with those two guys against the fence, I'm probably gonna take Josh Allen. And I know this is hard for me, but I got to take Josh because what he can do with his legs, even all the other things that I said. Look, Jim can roll to his right. He can't roll to the right like Josh Allen can, but he could step up. He could escape. He could, get some more time to make something happen, but not like Josh Allen. So I'm going to give Josh Allen this one. I'm saying 10-9. It's no way it's a knockdown.
Yeah,
this is 10-9 for sure. Good round there. I'd love to hear in the comments below what people are thinking. I find like the youngsters will be like, you're crazy, Mike. It's not a knockdown. It's not a 10-9 round. It's a knockdown or a knockout. But I need you to go check your facts and really go back and look at what Jim Kelly did and also take into account the rule changes to really that impacted the league as it is today. They want a passing game in the NFL. They changed the rules to make passing easier, although I think the defenses are starting to catch up a little bit. I will say that. In any case, Josh Allen gets that round. Oof. Oh, man. And anyway, in the comments, let me know what you think. All righty. Let's move on. We're in round 11. Oh, boy.
Baby.
Round 11. Marv, Levy, Ted Marchibroda, the K-gun guy. He invented the K-gun, just letting you know. He was the offensive coordinator back then. And then Walt Corey. Dude, Walt Corey, most successful defensive coordinator as far as wins and losses as a defensive coordinator was Walt Corey. So Marv Levy, Harvard graduate, until he came to the Buffalo Bills, didn't have a lot of success. I mean, he was coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, if you can believe that. He coached in the USFL one year. Where his most success came was when he coached in the CFL. He took his team to 3 CFL, I think they call it the Grey Cup.
Yep, the Grey Cup.
And he won 2 of those 3 times when they got to the Grey Cup. He was a college coach going back all the way to 1954, believe it or not.
It's crazy.
So until he joined the Bills, did not have a lot of success. And he replaced, I think it was in the middle of, let's see here, 19. Yeah, so in 7 games into the 1986, by the way, they were trying to get Marv Levy to be a announcer, color commentator. But was it 7 games into the 1986 season, the Bills released head coach Hank Bullough. And Marv Levy became the coach. And he finished that year with a 2-5 record. He was the head coach of the Chiefs from 78 to 82, never made the playoffs. And again, it wasn't until his second year with the Bills where he got to his first playoff game. And guess what? That was a Bills loss against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game, the Ickey Woods era. Terrible. I can still remember that dance, Jake. I'm sure you've seen it many times.
The Ickey Shuffle.
The Ickey Shuffle, for sure.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's got, my goodness, his phrases, his quotes are some of the, where would you rather be than right here, right now? He had so many inspirational quotes. That's just one of them, but that has really resonated with Bills Mafia today. That's always the thing that they're saying at the, what do they call it at the beginning of the game where an ex-player typically comes out, or
the legend of the game. They always do the yep.
And where would you rather be than right here, right now? He had other great quotes as well. I'm not going to quote you all of them. But he's very similar to McDermott. Now, you can't say that Levy was a more defensive-minded coach or a offensive-minded coach, because he typically mostly was a head coach for most of his career, wherever he went. And by the way, that quote, where would you rather be right here, right now, I believe was first brought up in 1954 for the college team that he was coaching. I'll look that up while Jake's talking here. But great coach. Just, he really, let me give you some notes that I took on Levy. His strengths was in leadership, which was game management and empowering his coordinators. He's one of those rare guys that, I've hired you guys to do the job. I trust you. I'm leaning on you to do your job. And he was that guy. He wanted those coordinators to execute their systems, particularly on offense with Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and Andre Reed. And I already talked about him coaching the CFL and KC. And let's see here. Do I have any other points on that one? All right, so he's just a great coach. And he's kind of similar to McDermott. I know McDermott has some of his quotes. I don't know if he's the originator of stay hungry, stay humble. I don't know. That's something he says. The Bills just say that a lot. But McDermott's more of that defensive coordinator. I can't say whether Marv was more of an OC, a more offensive guy or defensive guy, but he just was great at being a manager, letting the guys around him do their job. And I'm sure he had his input. He's a Harvard graduate, smart dude.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So he's, giving his insight as well. And I believe he did something pretty cool. I forget what they called it. Some offensive scheme while he played for KC, because KC needed their defense off the field a lot more. So they came up with some scheme where it was able to run, get the offense to be on the field more for KC. Again, unfortunately, didn't do so well. And although he started pretty good, he was improving. Then the following year, it just didn't go too well, and they moved on from him. Ted Marchibroda, this guy, here's some great trivia stuff, dude. He coached the Colts.
Yep.
In 2 different cities. Not only did he coach the Colts when they were the Baltimore Colts and the Indianapolis Colts.
Crazy. And then he was the Ravens too, right?
Yes. And then later on the Ravens. So he was, I don't know if he's the only coach, but he coached 2 NFL teams in the same city. How crazy is that, right?
That is something.
And he was a head coach for the Colts, and they actually won 3 AFC East titles. A lot of people, a lot of the old timers, a lot of youngsters don't know that the Colts used to be in the AFC East. And Marchibroda won the AFC East with the Colts in 75, 76, and 77, head coach of the Baltimore Colts. Not a lot of
That's
people
wild.
know that. So
Yeah.
Teddy, and we call him Teddy, he and I are good friends. This guy was all about offense. And when he had the weapons, I'm sure it was a little bit of Jim Kelly, because Jim Kelly was when he was in the USFL, was the run and shoot, I think they called it.
Yep.
And so him, Levy, Marchabroda, I say him, Kelly, Levy, Marchabroda, they talked about taking that to a new level, that K gun. But Marchabroda was kind of the main piece of making that all happen. So again, I don't know how you can say Joe Brady is anywhere near Marchabroda. Not the case.
We're just so young. I mean, this
Yeah.
2024 coaching roster is brilliant. I think Sean McDermott, he's going to have his criticisms. Him and Levy have a ton in common, honestly, with the way that they coach, the way that they handle players, coaches, obviously both with great regular season records, but always seem to get out coached in the big games. And that just seemed to be the case for Marv too. But yeah, when you look at the coordinators, it comes down to this a little bit, where Joe Brady, I know he was offered some head coaching jobs, but you don't have the head coaching experience that Ted Marchabroda had.
Yep.
Walt Corey never was a head coach, but he was a longtime defensive coordinator. And I think he was the DC with Marv and KC, and he came over to Buffalo, right? Is that correct? I want to say that's right.
He did come over from KC.
Yeah.
I don't know if they came over the same year. I don't think they did in the same year, because I think he came over in 87, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
We'll have to check that. But yes, he came over from KC. And dude, he played, it was DC for the Bills from 87 to 94. Bills were 84 and 43 during his time. And there's been no other successful defensive coordinator in the Bills history than Walt Corey. And then you talk about Bobby Babich, who was a first-time DC last year, and people, you got to really wonder, is he really the DC, or is McDermott still pulling the strings? There's a little bit of that. Yeah. So from a coaching experience, even if they came to 2024, I feel like they would translate well. I feel like we, in that game against the Bills, we would be running K-gun. We might switch it up every now and then. I don't know, because of the new rules. We might switch it up. I do agree with you. McDermott and Levy and Marchabroda to some degree, and I'll go back to that 91 Super Bowl where I coached. Bill Belichick had played them not that long ago, or later in the season, so they had some film on them, and they didn't recognize that they could have taken advantage of gotten the Giants out of the coverage that they were playing by running Thurman Thomas. I think Thurman Thomas had some ridiculous low amount of carries in that game. I want to say, my memory serves me right, 15. Thurman should have had 20, 25 runs in that game, and they quickly would have gotten out of that coverage that they were running and allowed the K-gun to execute the way it should have. And because they were just so, I don't know, stingy or didn't want to get out of that K-gun, it cost them. And finally, they started realizing it late in the second half. And of course, Thurman Thomas was just having his day, but it was a little too late. So again, similarities, totally agree. You could argue, like, people every year are calling for Sean McDermott's head. He can't take us to the promised land. And Marv Levy at least got to the promised land. He couldn't win it, unfortunately. But I gotta give the Bills at least a 10-9 in this one, Jake. And some might argue even higher, but at least a 10-9.
You could definitely argue higher, I think, just based on the experience. It's hard to vouch for Brady and Babich here compared to those two. I mean, you essentially have three head coaches there in Buffalo in 1990. You know, so yeah, I almost want to go 10-8 here, but I'm not gonna, because McDermott's career record, is pretty damn good. You know, and he's done it with a litter. Yeah, done it with less, and as far as like supportive coaches, supporting cast, so. And maybe that's his own fault, but still, it's very impressive to say the least.
Yeah, so McDermott, it frustrates me every year that people are like wanting to fire him. And I'm just saying, dude, this guy we're lucky to have him as a coach. And we're lucky to have gotten where we are. It's hard to get to a Super Bowl. It's hard to win a Super Bowl. We will get there. Sean McDermott will get us there. I would not change a thing. It just kills me every year, Jake. When like people come on our show after the loss and like fire McDermott. I'm done with McDermott. One of your buddies is one of the biggest haters of McDermott.
Yep.
Who is that? What's his name again?
That's Zach. That's my brother-in-law.
Zach's the guy. Always
Fire
comes in.
McDermott.
Fire McDermott.
He's been on that train for 3 years now.
Again, great coaching staff by the Bills and Ted Marchibroda. Love that guy. And just a trivia question that's related to his coaching the Colts in 2 different cities and also
That's
coaching
awesome.
2 Baltimore teams is insane.
It really is. It's pretty incredible.
Well, Jake, let's finish that round. Let's move on to the next. And this round, Jake, was really, if I was behind in the game and I needed a knockout, I was going to pull out this card. I don't need it, but let's go to the next slide. Special teams. Need I say more? I didn't even bring anyone else out. Need I say more?
The disrespect to Rick Tootin and Scott Norwood and Dale Hellstray.
I'm just saying, look, special teams, I can mention all those other guys, but what sets them apart between the 2 special teams, the 2024 and 1990, is our guy, Steve Tasker. Because Steve Tasker, what do you have? He had some, I have this number here. Let me see if I wrote it down. 204 tackles on special teams, 7 block punts across 12 seasons.
204 tackles on special teams?
Special teams on special teams across 12 seasons. And again, if we needed him, he could play slot receiver. I mean, I said it before, I said it multiple times. He was the Wes Walker, if we needed him to. But Steve was so focused on his craft, he didn't ask for more playing time in the offense. And the special teams coach was like, no, Jim, I can't let you take our most valuable player on special teams. In today's game, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think. When's the last time we blocked the punt? I know there was the butt block against Minnesota a couple years ago where we didn't block it. It was their guy that the punter kicked the ball into. But was there? You think of a recent block punt?
I can't remember it.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane. But he was an incredible gunner. I'm just not saying he was great at. Like, if you needed to play on special teams, he was your guy. And the gunner, dude, was always down there making tackles. Always. So I'm just put the one slide up there. I don't think I need to talk about anyone else. This was my last trick if I needed it to get this win. So
unbelievable.
I'm gonna say, you can take Scott Norwood, the wide right in the Super Bowl. Bass has had his wide rights as well. Let's not forget that. Punters and all the things you like to talk about, Jake. But I'll throw it to you to kind of finish it off here on special teams. But I'm not going to go knock out or knock down. I'm just going to say 10-9. I'm going to be kind about this. I mean, when you got the other team down, you can't rub it in.
I think you look at the modern day kicker and punter too. A little bit of a different standard in terms of yards per punt, net yardage, coffin corner stuff where you're putting it inside the 20. I mean, even looking at the averages back then compared to what they are now, it's significantly higher. So the legs on these kickers and punters are so much stronger. And Tyler Bass had a really tough start to the season last year, but he finished pretty strong. So really impressed with what he did. Scott Norwood was fantastic for Buffalo. But given the time period, the field goal percentage was really not that high. I think he only made like high 60%, maybe low 70s of his kicks. And, you do that nowadays, you're getting cut. You're not going to even make it a full season. You're getting cut right away. I mean, the standard is 80 plus. So, and Tyler Bass has been able to do that. So I would say I'd give the nod to our punters and kickers. Then you want to talk long snappers, right? So Don Hellstray or Dale, I think it's Dale Hellstray was the long snapper for the Bills in 1990. And then Reed Ferguson, longest tenured Buffalo Bill right now, Mike. So just got extended again, too. So you got to love it. Don't have worried about that stupid training camp cut at the end where he gets cut and then he resigns to the team. None of that this year. Ain't going to happen. So I do want to give some love to those guys, and that's why it isn't a knockout or a, it's going to be probably a 10-9 round. It's a 10-9 round because Steve Tasker put him in the Hall of Fame. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Just incredible what he did here.
Yeah, but I would give you a 10-10 round. But again, that's just like, I mean, this is just
that's the King's card right there.
Insane that they don't have a Hall of Famer for special teams. But let me write that down, Jake. So Jake, the judges card is in. Judging this contest is Big Al out of Buffalo, New York. He gives the score 109 to 117 for a complete domination in this battle to the 1990 Buffalo Bills. Yes, go. 1990 Buffalo Bills.
Big dub, Mike.
Now, again, no disrespect to the 2024 Bills. And again, this game would be a close game. If they were to play last 2024, with all rule changes and all the things we're not even thinking of, this would be one hell of a game. I would love to see it. Maybe with AI in a few years, we can see it. That would be fantastic.
Love it.
But I think we proved that the 1990 Bills could play with this team in 2024. So love your thoughts and comments in the comments section below. Let us know what you think on this. And fantastic. And, if you're new to our channel, I always forget to say this, please smash that like button. Drop a nickel on that subscribe button. We kind of stalled, Jake, for quite some time. That's what happens, when we take so much time off. But we're going to get back at it with training camp coming up, and can't wait for that. But Jake, it's been a lot of fun, man. Are you surprised? Awesome. Are you surprised at the outcome of this?
I am surprised with how much of a difference there is, in terms of the score. And I think, you hear that score and it's like, yeah, on paper, that 90s Bills team is so impressive. And I'm actually blown away just by how impressive it is. I always knew, but when you really go through each position group, it's incredible. We had some absolute dogs on that team at every single group. I mean, there wasn't really, you look at the weakest spot that the Bills had, and they were still, a powerhouse. So it really is just a true testament to how good they were. So I love going back and looking at the stuff. And Mike, I might have to do a little simulation. Maybe I'll live stream it. Maybe I'll create the 1990 Buffalo Bills versus the 2024 Buffalo Bills on, I don't know, like ESPN NFL 2K5 or something. I can mod it, make it happen. Tecmo Bowl, something like that. That'd be kind of fun, right?
Let's do it.
Run a little simulation. That'd be kind of fun.
I think my dad has a board game, and I think we had him put the two teams against one another. I can't remember who won that. I have to go back. But good stuff. So Jake's been a lot of fun. We'll be going live again soon. This was just a show that we wanted to record and break it up a little bit. It's so long. I knew it would be long. And if anything else, it's been a great history lesson for those that may not have been around for those 90 teams. Again, you're one of the few people that I feel can talk about them because of how you absorb and just research and watch film. And, this Bills team's better than guys that were born in the 60s like me. You just know them so well. But anyhow, it's been a lot of fun on the show, Jake, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely, you will.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.